Hello, I'm Ryan. I'm here with Marcos, Cindy, and Vivi, and we're here to present our recommendation for the problem with the Bofag gas tragedy that came from a combination of mismanagement and the company's lack of accountability that affected the different stakeholders. So the company involved Union Carbide India Limited led to thousands of deaths and long-term health complications for the local population. The disaster was not merely an accident, but a result of multiple systemic failures, including poor safety protocols, cost-cutting measures, and the lack of corporate responsibility. The failure of both the company and regulatory bodies to uphold safety standards exacerbated the tragedy, affecting multiple stakeholders. So our recommendation is to first strengthen legal compliance and management training, and to second, upgrading modern equipment and sensors, workers' capability training. So to focus on our first recommendation, the goal is to create a resilient and accountable organization that prioritizes safety, ethical conduct, and regulatory adherence. This approach not only protects lives and the environment, but also builds long-term trust and safeguards the company's global reputation. So how do we strengthen strengthening legal compliance and management training? So first is to hire safety regulatory auditors. Second is to create a global safety governance policy. Third is supplier compliance program. And fourth is to develop crisis management and legal response protocols. So who would be in charge of carrying out each task? So for the first step, the EHS department, who coordinates audits, provides access to data, and ensures follow-up on recommendations. Third-party certified safety auditors, and the board of directors or compliance committee, who reviews audit results and enforces corrective actions. So for step 2, create a global safety governance policy. The one in charge of this is going to be the global head of compliance and safety governance, who leads the department of the policy framework across all regions. Legal and regulatory affairs team, plant managers, HR and and training managers. So for step 3, implement a supplier compliance program. So it will be the procurement manager or supply chain director, who integrates safety and quality standards into supplier contacts. Supplier quantity assurance team, who conducts audits, assesses legal certifications, and monitors supplier performance. And lastly, the legal counsel. So for the last task, it will be the critical response team leader, operations director, human resource, and training and risk management team. So the timeline of this is going to be first the safety regulatory auditors, where all major plant sites globally with initial focus on high-risk facilities. Second is to create a global safety governance policy. So the location of it will be the corporate HQ for policy creation and regional offices and plant sites for rollout and training. Third is going to be to implement a supplier compliance program, where it will be the central procurement office, where policy and system development takes place and supplier locations globally. And lastly, it will be the develop crisis management and legal response protocol, which will be in the corporate HQ as well, and at each plant and regional office. So for cost consideration, so for strengthening legal compliance and management training, other costs will include internal time and resources to support audits, temporary slowdowns during inspection periods, and for numerical costs, it will have a rough estimate of upwards of 61,000. For creating a global safety governance policy, other costs include time from leadership and operations team for policy rollout, change in management and resistance from subsidiaries, and initial loss in operational speed during transition. The numeral cost will have a rough estimate of a total of upwards of 180,000. And for implementing a supplier compliance program, other costs include the risk of losing non-compliant but low-cost suppliers, supply chain distribution during supplier transition, and the numerical cost will be upwards of 55,000. And for developing crisis management and legal response protocol, other costs are the time and effort for scenario planning and cross-functional coordination, possible discovery of legal vulnerabilities during protocol review, and this will cost a rough estimate of 65,000.
So what are some problems that may come next time, bro? So here are a few limitations. So for auditors, since it happens periodically and regularly, it may be really expensive to maintain them. And furthermore, auditors may be biased because they prioritize client relationships. Secondly, for global safety governance policy, resistance from local managers may oppose higher standards due to cost concerns, and it also gives a fog of security. Since a policy on paper does not mean a guaranteed action unless it's monitored really well. For suppliers, having them to follow regulations and new standards, it may be more expensive to have suppliers, therefore increasing production costs. And actually verifying that they have met the standards are also pretty difficult to know. All right, crisis management and legal response protocol. So even with plans in place, employees may not be prepared enough to solve the disaster. And ensuring that employees understand and implement the crisis protocol, it requires a lot of time and money.
So the aim of upgrading the equipment is improving the safety level of plant operation to avoid the recurrence of such danger.
Now in this part, we will look at 5 possible improvements. To stop those kinds of problems from happening again in the future, companies can make the following 5 improvements teach knowledge. Firstly, put in advanced safety gear in every factory. This includes things like automatic leak detectors, sensors, and emergency alarm systems. Secondly, create tools to protect when things will need fixing. Companies can use AI or the internet. AI can look at how the equipment is working and figure out which part might break and when. Then they can fix them before there is a problem. Thirdly, change the materials of the storage tanks to ones that do not loose easily. Firstly, the company should teach workers online how to handle dangerous gas safely. This will help workers be better at dealing with emergencies. Finally, the company should use digital safety rulers and monitors to find early warnings.
Here are some detailed information about all the recommendations for installing modern safety equipment and sensors. Automated gas leak detectors should be added, and also emergency alarm systems. And factories should be also equipped with remote shut-off valves to isolate tanks and pipelines. For upgrading maintenance technology, modern factories should implement predictive maintenance using AI and IoT. Sensor network is compulsory to monitor valve seals, temperature and gas pressure automatically. Also, a digital maintenance log that tracks inspecting information can be added. For technology-based safety training, VR and AR tools should be added to help employees learn how to react to tragedies. And online training platforms should be considered as a tool as well. For digitized safety protocols and monitoring, managers need to use digital dashboards to monitor real-time operations and safety metrics. And it is also recommended that automated login systems should be applied to track maintenance. So who would be in charge of the task? When installing modern safety equipment and sensors, plant safety managers and instrumentation and control engineers should be responsible, and upgrading maintenance technology requires maintenance managers and IT departments. As for technology-based safety trainings, health and safety officers, HR, and also external trainers should be responsible for the task. When digitizing safety protocols and monitoring, IT manager or digital transformation officer, supervisor in the control room, and data analyst and compliance officers should be in charge of. So the timeline and location introduced when and where it will happen. Installing equipment happens in the key areas within chemical plants around MIC techs, and upgrading maintenance technology throughout the entire plant, especially near the high-risk areas. The training based on technology and safety is located in designated training rooms at the plant or remote learning platforms. Also could be happened in the partner training centers or industry hubs. When developing safety protocols and monitoring, it can be happened in the central control room, integrated with all operational units. So the types of costs includes fixed costs, which is buying and installing hardware and software, and building extra rooms for the redundant systems, and AR or VR content purchasing. And the operational cost includes additional checks and maintenance for extra units and cyber security checks. Also, extra sensors installing, training and testing software. Training costs includes time and energy to train the staffs to learn how to deal with the alerts. Also includes the wear and tear of the equipment. The potential problems includes high initial investment and old infrastructure, unstable power and network connections. Also, the technology threats and infrequent updates. In digitizing safety protocols and monitoring, it may have cybersecurity risk and unreliable internet or internal network. Also, it depends on human discipline. If workers weren't engaged, then it would be incorrect. So that's all. Thank you.